They say I'm nasty.
And things like that. I didn't get into really heavy drugs until I met Whitney, but it destroys people.
Clive Davis usually throws the biggest party the night before the Grammys, but tonight the mood was somber. Whitney Houston died in a room in this very hotel earlier today.
Before the scandals, the arrests, the reality show chaos. Before Whitney, before the whispers, Bobby Brown was just a kid trying to survive the spotlight. And he made it, for a minute. But what happens when the fame hits too fast? The pressure hits too hard, and the people closest to you start breaking too? This isn't just the story of a star spiraling. It's about the wreckage that fame leaves behind, and the ghosts that never really go away.
Every step I take, you will be there.
Bobby Brown didn't start out living the dream. He started out just trying to make it. And somewhere along the way, that survival instinct took a sharp left into chaos. He messed around with weed early on, sure, but things didn't really go off the rails until after the glitz, the records, and the spotlights. Once Whitney came into the picture, the whole story shifted. He swore he'd never touched coke before her, but once that door opened, it didn't just stay at one thing. Coke showed up, then heroin, then everything else started crashing in behind it.
That I didn't get into really heavy drugs until I met Whitney, but it destroys people.
It got so bad he wasn't just using, he was out there helping make the stuff. Like fully in the kitchen, not just partying. And this wasn't some messy rumor. It was real, and it was ugly. His health, cooked, career, all over the place, relationships, hanging by threads. He wasn't just losing control of his life. He was losing track of who he even was.
These cigarettes more people every day than any terrorist I've ever seen on television.
On television? You ain't seen him on television?
Yes, I have.
Who, you?
George Bush.
The drug scene almost ended Bobby for good. At one point, he got snatched up by this street crew in New York, the kind that doesn't do warnings or second chances. He owed them $25,000 and they were ready to take him out over it. The only reason he made it out alive? Whitney dropped $400,000 to get him back. Quiet. No cops, no headlines, just behind-the-scenes chaos and a giant stack of hush money. The whole thing stayed buried for years, like a lot of things in their mess of a relationship. But even before things with Whitney got messy, Bobby had already gotten a taste of how fame can mess with your head. He came up with New Edition, the squeaky clean boy band that had matching fits, chart toppers, and screaming fans. Bobby was one of the youngest, and for a while, it worked. But he wasn't trying to stay in that PG lane forever. He wanted edge, wanted to do his own thing. His moves started getting a little too grown, too wild for the group's image. And the rest of the guys, yeah, they weren't exactly clapping for it. Then came the no-shows, the constant weed, the showing up late like he owned the place. The rest of the group got tired real quick. They started cutting his solos mid-show. And Bobby? He wasn't about to just sit back and take that. One night, he lost it. Full-on launched a mic at Michael Bivins in the middle of a concert. No pretending it was all love after that. Whether he quit or got pushed, the door closed. And yeah, it got messy, real messy. But Bobby wasn't trying to fade into the background. He wanted his solo moment, and for a minute, he had it. Big hits, big tours, big money. He was stacking awards and had the crowd in the palm of his hand. On the surface, he looked untouchable, but off stage, he was unraveling fast. Turns out he'd been living with ADH, and later found out he was bipolar too, and mix that with sudden fame, non-stop pressure, and drugs everywhere. It was a perfect setup for everything to crash and burn.
And, you know, you have a lot of money. There's so many things you can do, and it's coming at you.
Then Whitney showed up. She was already the golden girl, America's sweetheart with the voice that stopped time. And when they linked, it was fast, loud, and way too much too soon. From the outside, it looked like a fairy tale, but inside, it was chaos on loop. Both of them were knee-deep in their own mess, and instead of helping each other out, they just kept pulling each other down. Bobby always said, Whitney was already on coke when they met. He got pulled in, and from there, it was like the two of them built a whole life around the mess. Their house stopped being a home. It started feeling more like a trap, and it didn't take long before the rest of the world started to see it too. They really put the mess on full display with that reality show, Being Bobbi Brown. It was like watching a train crash in slow motion. Loud arguments, slurred speech, drama in public, all playing out on camera. Viewers didn't just cringe, they straight up dragged it. People called it one of the worst shows ever made. And honestly, it didn't help either of them. If anything, it just proved what everyone had already been whispering. Things were seriously off. They really put the mess on full display with that reality show, Being Bobbi Brown. It was like watching a train crash in slow motion. Loud arguments, slurred speech, drama in public, all playing out on camera. Viewers didn't just cringe, they straight up dragged it. People called it one of the worst shows ever made, and honestly, it didn't help either of them. If anything, it just proved what everyone had already been whispering. Things were seriously off, and that mess didn't stay between the adults. Their daughter, Bobbi Kristina, was caught right in the middle. She was just a kid, but the house was constant chaos, fighting, drugs, confusion. One family member even said she once had to help Whitney to bed while everything around her was falling apart. That wasn't some rare moment. That was her normal. Bobbi said he really tried to keep Bobbi Kristina away from the worst parts of it. He'd even lock Whitney in a room sometimes, so their kid wouldn't see her high. But Whitney wasn't the type you could just keep behind a door. She did what she wanted, and Bobbi saw way more than any kid should have. Later, Bobbi admitted it straight up. They both dropped the ball. That house wasn't safe. That little girl deserved better. Then things got even darker. Bobbi got arrested for hitting Whitney. He owned up to it later, said they were already fighting, and she stepped in. He turned and hit her. Said he felt sick about it the second it happened, that it cracked something inside him. But guilt doesn't erase anything. That damage stayed. Their relationship was messy from top to bottom. Bobbi even wrote about this one moment that stayed stuck in his head. Whitney supposedly had a miscarriage, but when he got home, she wasn't acting like she'd just lost a baby. No tears, no breakdown. She was back to work like nothing happened. Bobbi always thought her team made it up, either to make people feel sorry for her or to explain why she married him in the first place. He never got a real answer, just more confusion, more trust issues, more chaos. And it didn't stop there. Whitney was found lifeless in a hotel bathtub, and the days leading up to it were already throwing red flags. She'd been showing up places looking out of it, sweaty, bruised, disoriented, popping up where no one expected her. Then there was that strange moment with Brandy. Whitney slipped her a folded note, whispered something in her ear, and just walked off. Brandy never said what it was, and still hasn't. That silence only made people spiral harder. Was it a warning? A goodbye? Nobody knew. Everyone guessed. But what really left people stunned was what came after. Her body was still upstairs, and Clive Davis, the guy who basically built her career, still went through with his annual party just a few floors down. People were shook. It felt cold, like there was a bigger agenda. And then, her music started flying off shelves. Sales exploded. The money rolled in fast. So naturally, the question started. Did Clive know something? Did her death turn out more profitable than her life ever did? The timing felt way too neat for comfort.
Clive Davis usually throws the biggest party the night before the Grammys, but tonight the mood was somber. Whitney Houston died in a room in this very hotel earlier.
Then came the part that felt like the universe playing a cruel joke. Bobbi Kristina was found face down in a bathtub, just like her mom. She never woke up. After months in a coma, she passed at only 22. The 911 call came from her boyfriend, Nick Gordon, and a friend. Paramedics got her heart beating again, but her brain never recovered. And just like that, it was déjà vu in the worst way.
News this hour about the death of Whitney Houston's daughter. A medical examiner in Atlanta says Bobbi Kristina Brown's death was caused by drug intoxication and immersion in water.
Everyone saw the pattern. Whitney died in a hotel tub with a mix of drugs in her system. 3 years later, her daughter ended up the same way. Different place, same outcome. Her autopsy report read like a remix. Alcohol, benzos, coke, morphine. It didn't feel random. It felt like the same storm, just hitting twice. Nick was instantly the center of all the finger-pointing. Bobbi had called him her husband, even though they were never actually married. He'd been living in Whitney's house for years, somewhere between adopted son and boyfriend, depending on the day. A civil suit said he gave Bobbi a toxic cocktail and left her in the tub. A judge hit him with a $36 million penalty. Criminal charges? Never happened. Then in 2020, he was gone too. Heroin overdose. Another name, another loss, same circle. And the questions didn't stop. People were still whispering about Ray J, who'd been hanging around Whitney a lot before she passed, about the hotel cameras that went missing, about Brandy and that folded-up note Whitney slipped her. Nothing was adding up and nobody was giving answers. The officials said both deaths were accidents. But to Bobby Brown, that word didn't sit right. He didn't think what happened to his daughter was some freak tragedy. He blamed the chaos, the people, the silence. Said someone helped destroy her, not in one big blow, but in little cuts over time. Said whatever haunted Whitney never really let go of their daughter. By the time Bobbi Kristina died, Bobby had already been through it all. A teen star with New Edition, a solo icon, a walking tabloid. He'd been in jail, laughed at, high out of his mind, called every name in the book. He'd hurt people, burned bridges, cooked drugs, let cameras roll while his life hit rock bottom, and people tuned in for entertainment. But losing his daughter broke something different. Then he lost his son, Bobby Jr., to an overdose too, and that was it. The noise got quiet. He got clean. Started doing interviews not to defend the old him, but to grieve. To say the things he used to run from. To admit what he missed, what he should have done, where he failed. He believed Bobbi didn't just fall. She was pushed, slowly, over time, by everyone who fed the chaos. And he believed Whitney's demons never really left their family alone. There was something dark and twisted about the way it all repeated. Whitney went into a tub. Bobbi went into a tub. Nick overdosed. Ray J never talked. And Bobbi still standing, older, quieter, carrying all of it. He'd been the villain, the headline, the dad trying to fix what was already cracked. And through it all, he was still here. But the price? That price was paid in names we'll never stop mourning. And the worst part wasn't just what happened. It was knowing that some answers might never come.